Netflix seems like it's finally cracking down. It will finally be cracking down on password sharing. Their numbers, they're down 200,000 subscribers in their, I think, the first quarter of the year. And they are testing out a lot of things to try and keep people from sharing passwords. They're like doing trial versions in different countries to see what works, and it's something that they want to. Again, similarly to Meta and their augmented reality, they have a 2-year kind of a window when they plan on implementing more of these changes. But I would say, if I had to guess, again, putting on my little hypothesis hat of technology, why Netflix is having problems isn't because the password sharing. Yes, that's been going on forever, but it's not, it's guaranteed. I mean, if you do crack down on this, I think it's just going to lead to less people having Netflix because the price of Netflix keeps going up despite the fact that nothing's really changed. They do a lot of original content, but I think part of it is Netflix has had a lot of public scrutiny over the past few years with people that they've done business with, similarly like Dave Chappelle. His most recent specials have had a lot of criticism for his transphobic focus, which is sad to see. A comic that I used to consider to be the best comic working. He's turned into so many comics that have just dug their heels in the sand and are just slowly turning into conservatives. Similarly to Joe Rogan, who he's buddies with, they're progressively more and more becoming more and more conservative, and they're rich, they're out of touch. There was a big uproar with that, and Netflix stood behind their artists, which on some level I appreciate that, Netflix is backing their artists. They're not going to, but then there's also culturally, because of that, there's going to be repercussions, and I think probably a lot of people canceled their subscriptions. There's going to be a percentage of people that canceled their Netflix subscriptions because of that, because of they're done with that. Similarly to how I stopped being a UFC fan completely because Disney raised the pay-per-view prices twice, actually I think 3 times during the pandemic. And it just became way too expensive. I mean, it's what Disney does, is they overcharge for everything. And I just got to a point where I no longer wanted to give Disney my money. And for that, I'm no longer a fan of any sport now. I'm not a fan of any sport. And I'm not excited for any Disney movie that comes out. So there's going to be a percentage of people that canceled Netflix because of the Chappelle thing, or vice versa. I mean, people could, but also they don't get a lot of great movies. There's more competition now than ever for Netflix. I mean, you compare Netflix to HBO Max. HBO Max not only is putting out solid original content, but also great movies. Like movies that were in theaters not that long ago, like The Batman, are offered up available on HBO, and you're not really getting those same kinds of movies, and also great classic movies that you just don't necessarily get on Netflix. There are some here and there, but it doesn't seem to be at the quality that some of the other streaming services are at, and especially for the price that you have to pay for Netflix. I mean, most other streaming services cost less than Netflix. So I would assume that the price increase, the lack of quality content, the political sides that Netflix is taking, all of those things I think are contributing to the fact that Netflix is down 200,000 subscribers to what they projected. Which also, it's like, you're going to plateau at some point. You're going to get, like, there's only so many people are going to sign up. And then you have to change to, like, appease the shareholders. Because you can't get more subscribers, then you have to find other ways to increase profit. So you do that by increasing the subscription price. You do that by cracking down on who's logging in with a password that's not localized, which will be interesting how they handle that. Because it's like, what if you have two homes and you have a Netflix password in LA, but then you have another house out in Oregon, and you go to Oregon and you have to have a separate Netflix account because you live in two houses, because they're going to crack down and because you're not in the same location. Like, I think it's going to cause a lot more problems than it is benefit, and it's a short-sighted benefit too. Because whenever they implement it, there's going to be a big jump in whoever decides to go with Netflix. But then overall, some of those people are going to go away, or they're going to find other ways to get around it. And in the long run, I think they're screwing themselves. But it's interesting. Maybe they'll get bought up by somebody. That happens all the time. I don't know who would buy Netflix, but probably Disney. I could see Disney buying Netflix just because Disney buys everything. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. I mean, it's a 2-year thing. Like, by the time augmented reality is supposed to be coming out for Meta is the same time that Netflix is going to be cracking down on passwords. So we'll see if either of those actually hit the mark. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.